live on the internet.
Oh.
We did
We've
it.
arrived.
We're
We're
here.
here. You guys should introduce yourselves and continue your conversation. John, why don't you tell us about what you were going to watch this week while I mute this
Yeah.
call and make sure that, in fact, the audio is working?
I was looking for something to watch on the airplane, and they had like 3 episodes of this series I'd never heard of, which was Motherland Fort Salem, and I never heard anything about it. But it really turned out it kind of caught me. What's Mike making
Mike's
faces
freaking
for?
out right now.
But it was all about like what if the Salem witch trials were real, and what if witches became like backbone of the army, and all this other stuff. It was interesting. It really caught me. I kind of blasted through the second 2 seasons, but I don't know. I kind of got lost in it. It was a pretty good series. I recommend it.
It's crazy.
So, Mike, I'm waiting for you to say something, Mike. You look like you're on deck to say something about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you surprise me, but hey, listen, that's pretty awesome that you watched that show, and it's on Freeform. That's the network that it's on. Freeform has really good shows, and that's a good show. It really
Can
is.
I talk about a good show that is about to air? Actually, the world premiere was
Of the Wheel of
tonight.
Time.
Today, which is the 30-year anniversary of the release of Bob Bakshi's animated Lord of the Rings. A day to celebrate already, if I do not say so myself.
Terrifying and amazing.
Indeed it was. And now we may celebrate again, as Mike is correct, the Wheel of Time, the great epic fantasy odyssey of an American author, perhaps the greatest so in our time. George Martin. Game of Thrones. I know it's called The Song of Ice and Fire. I'm a big nerd, you guys. I know. I'm throwing shade. But forget the GOT gone. That was beyond. That was the before times.
You thought
It's
that
the
was
after
good?
times now. WOT, Wheel of Time, is coming. The premiere will be midnight Greenwich Mean Time on the 19th of November, which is this week. That will, in fact, be, I believe, 7 p.m. on Thursday night. So lucky Americans.
Oh my
I'm 90% sure this is accurate information. Don't quote
No,
me.
you're right. No, yeah. Eastern Standard Time right now is GMT -5.
Yes, fuck yeah, I know time zones. Anyway, it's a wheel of time, John.
Kurt,
A
Kurt
fucking
has,
wheel of
Kurt has
time.
something to say.
Kurt,
I think we all know that the real thing to look out for is Tiger King season 2 starting this week.
Oh no.
Kurt, top of his game.
I believe that starts
I'm
on
really-
Wednesday,
Well,
which
good. You can
means
binge
if
it
it's
all.
coming before Wheel of Time, it must be better than Wheel of Time.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can binge it all.
Strong.
You can binge it all.
Strong. I mean, let's be clear. I mean, the Nazis and Hitler came before the Wheel of Time many, many years,
Easy.
and they're definitely not better.
Let's transition away from the Wheel of Time. The fact of the matter is, for anybody who's interested in the Wheel of Time, I will be doing a weekly podcast with my friend Josh Wigler over at Post Show Recaps. You can find that on any of your major podcast networks available to you in all those good places. Post Show Recaps, Wheel of Time show. I'll be talking about it every week with him in a spoiler-free, safe environment for new viewers who know nothing about the incredible 14-book series with the prequel and are just going to watch the TV show. People like you, John. It's perfect. Yeah. It'll be excellent. For those who perhaps have read some Wheel of Time, however, there will be some type of weekly component here on Twitch TV/GM Philly where we're going to have a little bit of a spoiler chat, book club with people probably like Taylor right there who's doing
I'm so
'cause it's that
excited.
awesome. It's good. Anyway, I'm really excited about this one, you guys. But that is not why we gather tonight. Tonight we gather to end our odyssey here that we began back in January of 2020. The sound's all working. John's camera's zapping around, which means it's Firelight Tales. We love to see it.
We
It's
love
the
to
flicker.
see it.
It's the flicker.
We
all it
stand.
is.
We stand the magic. That's happening.
This is part of how John transitions from this world into the body of Ulrich. It's hilarious
much.
that I've managed to master this for every show, except this one. So I will fix that now, perhaps. No bounce. Let's scale it to Inner Bounds. Let's make John huge for a minute. We love that. Love to see it. Okay.
John Cass, what's the thing? Enlarge?
Let's be clear, it's Paul
It
Ray.
is the
I mean,
thing.
just want to put that out there. But
It's true. Well, to be fair, it's the Mall of the Titans.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
it doesn't
okay.
cast itself, Rich. It's just
It doesn't cast
to our-
itself.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. To our friends in the chat, like I send you my love. I thank you to anybody like watching this in the VODs after the fact. It's been a journey here to get to like almost 1 year into like streaming here on Twitch, and I never would have been able to do it without like you four people, some of like my dearest friends in all the world, let alone my favorite folks to play D&D with. The quiet excitement that's unspoken about this sad goodbye is that like maybe we'll go back to our home game and with your like 16th level and 15th level characters that are in the middle of epic shenanigans. Maybe we'll stream some of that along the way if you're keen, but it's fun to be had in our future. Do you guys have anything we want to like hit before we dive into it here? Are there any notes? Mike, you have any final parting thoughts before we like re-enter Abrea for one last time in 2021?
Shouldn't we say the final thoughts for the end?
Yeah. That's why I
Rather
brought
than
you.
the preface? Final thoughts for the preface? I'm not sure.
I wanted to know if you had any
It's
final.
been a long, long journey. And it's been fun.
Oh, nice. I thought we were going to sing American Pie all together for a second here. It's like,
You don't have that much time. Like that and Stairway to Heaven are like your worst karaoke faux pas. Like, oh really? We're gonna do this to the
No
entire bar for
stairways.
15 minutes?
The piano man.
Stairway denied.
I had an amazing human actually tell me the song to go with is Run Around Sue. But
That's one of my
No,
songs.
Ooh.
I know that you're the one that told me. But we won't get into that.
Oh.
So.
Can I just say quickly on that note,
I feel like
my mom's band is on DiMucci's new album, by the way.
Wait, your mom's band is on whose new album?
Dion DiMucci, the singer in
Dion
Run
the
Around
Belmonts?
Sue,
Deanna the
The
Belmonts?
the Belmonts. My mom knows him, and
awesome.
her guitarists are on his new album with him,
Nice.
and it's really cool.
Taylor's mom, who occasionally turns up in this Twitch chat. Well done. Well
There
played.
she is.
There she is, right there. Hello.
Shout out to the Madison band, y'all.
Yeah.
They're going
Shout
to
out to you
Memphis in
guys. It's actually,
January.
like, very badass.
Anyway, I
Nice.
derailed us again.
Well,
Sorry.
No, you did not at all. You're just hyping up your mom.
I am.
And she's here, so it's great. So, to the matter at hand, I'll ask for like the last bit here. Do you guys have any like mechanical questions? Is there any kind of like housekeeping stuff we need to do
Did we level up?
before we get back into it? No. My bad. You stole Mike's line. So, to that end, I think that the camera opens on the mountains in the dwindling starlight as the sun has begun to rise on the eastern horizon. The silhouettes of these vast towering mountains that have been your home, that have been the place that you've desperately traveled through in these past 10 days, fleeing your enemy, the Drakencaerns. And you stand amidst the ruins of this ancient place, this hall of the Titans of old. Around you, funeral pyres burn, as the lot of you, having fought off the remnants of the Sapphire Legion's patrol here into the Drakencaern, freeing the last survivors of your village, the elder Ursula Vandrand, who raised you, Eerie Silverspark, from when you were a wee gnome, and the rest of you to one extent or another. The parents, mother and father, Stormbeard, Beaudry Ironstave, the dwarven cleric, the unsuspecting ally that you found in the mountains during your desperate flight from your enemies. And there are many who've been lost around you, friends from the village that you grew up in, Erkengard, ruined when the Legion came seeking you all, as well as the many enemies that you defeated. The one most notable, the Baroness Verileth, a woman of inestimable age in charge of this endeavor and expedition, who managed to escape in the 11th hour, wearing the belt of giant strength that Ulrich sought to complete the strength of the Maw of the Titans. And so as we take in the four of you amidst the survivors, Beaudry Ironstave and his two dwarven compatriots, Bindle. I put my notes too far away from me. And Hester, the survivors. It's deeply important that I get this right. I went back and did all my homework.
Nice.
Ursula, Ulrich's parents, the 5 remaining survivors, Furbolg, an Air Genasi, a gnome, a halfling, and an Earth Genasi, all of whom you know from your days in the village. Risa, Aspen, Kimball, Vander, and Bonnie, of course. So I ask, where do we find the group of you as the dawn is about to rise? Or what might we have seen over like these past hours in the immediate aftermath of the battle?
I think Yuri is, after making sure that everybody was doing all right, is just with like Ursula and probably being scolded for not using her magic in those final moments and just swinging wildly with her staff.
I think we do see Yuri Vandrand, her robes ripped, torn, and tattered, her sweater handed down from her never-known parents, covered in her own blood and that of her enemies. And I think that Ursula, like, is just sitting quiet with you, like, I'm very proud of you. I am, girl. Make no mistake of it. But you need proper training.
I know. I think I did fine. I wouldn't have... Can you imagine if I lit one of us on fire? That would not have been good. And listen, before this, I've hit plenty of things with my staff. You should have seen me. It usually works really well.
And she's just like shaking her head like, I know. You saw me fight my most desperate tonight. Tooth and claw I would use to free you all from the grasp of the dynasty. But there are better teachers than I for you in this world. I'm glad that we have both survived long enough. I might be able to get you to them. That's all.
Yeah.
And so, I think that we see the massive form of Ursula Vandrand, an ogre mage, somewhere in the range of 8 to 9 feet tall, purple-skinned, wild black hair, jagged, ferocious features, nails at the end of her fingers, like daggers of black. She leans into the tiny gnome, battered, bruised.
But one...
And just, like, throwing, like, an arm around you, her hand almost, like, swallowing you up. She, like, leans her massive head upon you, like, patting the small girl on the head, like, I'm very proud. You did well. Better than I could have ever dreamed. And so as the camera turns, who else do we see? Where do we see the rest of you all?
I think Ulrich would be with his parents and checking on the rest of the survivors.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that your mother, having carried a grievous injury from the desperate flight that your parents had to make with you as an infant, the flight that landed them in Erkengard, She leans heavily on a stout staff, the injury exasperated, and certainly the conditions of these last 10 days not hospitable to health. But she's beaming with pride. I think that there's like streaks down her dirty face from the dwarvish tears of pride that she said for her son, right? And I think that your father, a grizzled veteran in his own right, a dwarf capable of leading his family across leagues of the vast and insurmountable Drakencaern Mountains to find Erkengard. He looks to Angus wherever it is that you are, and he just says, he's like saying to you, Ulrich, like they've showered you with pride, of course, but he's like, we owe it to them what we lost, too many to get this far, to press on. We'll remember them always. You've done them true honor this day, my son. I never imagined that we would stand outside those chains again. A third chance at life you've given us.
Wow. It was everybody. It was everybody helping each other along and finding people along the way to help us get here.
And I think another voice kind of chimes in Dwarvish, like, but that's the truth of it. And you like turn as you see Beaudry Ironstave, along with the survivors, Bindle and Hester. Hester, like a younger dwarvish woman, Bindle, a bit of an older man, your father's age, and the three approach Beaudry, his face smiling despite all of it. And he says,
I'd be hugging them all. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Absolutely. You know, this was...
Yeah. The work of the night has been done. The bodies moved, the fire set, the cairns built over the Alagi who have fallen, right? And I think that Beaudry is just like, after your embrace, he like puts his arm around your father's shoulder and is like speaking in Dwarvish, you know? And he says, they've earned the title of the heirs of the Titans. You've raised quite a son. That's all I can say. When we left the holes, we had no idea what we'd find in the mountains. We lost many and more before we met your boy and his, well, the rest of his family. He says, but I'll say this. Every cairn we piled on them what walked here with me is built on a soul who finds peace now. They came willing to sacrifice all they had to give because of the inspiration that these 4 young lads and the lass there gave us all. Carry the hammer well, boy. I wasn't sure when you took it if I were making the right decision. I feared my own greed may be clouding me judgment. But there's none better to carry it in the days that yet to come. And I think your parents are just like without words, Ulrich, you know, like all choked up. Dwarven proudness.
Well, how far are we from Ursula? And are we close? Are we far?
Ursula and Eerie, you're probably like sitting by a campfire, like somewhere near the other side of the clearing-ish, you know?
And Eerie would make it a point to like thank Beaudry like for healing her so many times and Crixus like for saving her life multiple times. Very, very nearly died there too many times.
Well, I would look at Beaudry and just say, fate may see us intertwined a little longer, because who knows what the fate of the homes and towns up here will be now that we've bloodied the nose, you know, of such a powerful enemy that we may find ourselves helping you to because perhaps it may be the last Titan that really is the only one that could save everyone up here.
And I think Beaudry, he's just holding your gaze, but you hear, it's Bindle who's just ah, well, Brunhild didn't come with us. She may yet be our salvation. We should talk with all of them. And Beaudry is just aye, there's much yet to be decided. And so I think the camera shifts away from this cluster, this half dozen dwarves. And yeah, Angus, Crixus, where are you guys at?
Angus is at the end of the promontory that's jutting out from the mountain. What's it look at? What's as he stands on that end there, kind of looking out?
Yeah.
Is there a cliff face 30 feet away and this is kind of awkward, or is it a valley? Or
I think we see as the sun is rising in the east now, the sun growing higher, right? I think the camera comes in at the side silhouette. We see Angus's horns, the glimmer of the ring set on one of them, the horn at your belt, Nalis's sword. And as the sun rises just higher and higher, the light filling, there is this long stone pier that you stand at the end of, this lone kind of guardian to the mountains, as the sight before you finally makes itself clear. And you could see that the mountains in front of you are much more like hills, descending into lower rolling hills. And then you see it for the first time in your life, far in the distance, certainly from here, as your eye peers from this vastly high peak of the Drakencairns, the ocean. You see the ocean lapping up against the coast, right? The green rolling hills transitioning into this wide berth of brown sand, and the caps of white waves kind of vanishing into the banks of fog that are slowly already beginning to burn off. And I think as you look to the west, you lose sight of the coast as you're staring south. Let's orient ourselves. You're staring south off this pier. And as you peer to the west, you lose sight. The mountains kind of wrapping around a little bit more, the coast vanishing around the corner of them. But as you look off to the east, you could see in the far distance along the coast, the trails of smoke rising up from many places. And small though it is at this distance, Angus, your study of history, knows immediately it's a city.
he's just taking in the view.
I think as you are, you hear a soft voice behind you, speak in giant, I'm very glad to see that you made it this far, Angus. Thank you. Thank you for all that you've done. And you recognize, glancing over your shoulder, the voice of one of the Firbolg from Erkengard. It's a woman named Aspen. She was kind of the village wisdom. She dealt with a lot of herb craft and stuff, some training as a druid. She handled a lot of the midwifing when births came. And she has this very sad kind of look on her Firbolg face, but there's hope in her eyes, right, as she's kind of looking past you to the south. And she's I never thought I might live to see an ocean. This is a gift you have given us all.
Angus kind of looks over his shoulder at her and snuffs a little bit, as snort or snuff, but somewhere in between, and then just continues looking out over the view.
Okay. And so she, kind of staring behind you for a time, turns and makes her way. And so finally, I think the camera kind of following her a little bit.
This reminds me of a time long ago. I think he shakes his head. He's like, I gotta stop doing that.
And with that, the camera jumps again. Crixus, where are you?
Crixus is tending to the wounded and bandaging them. And while the sunrise is coming up through the mountains and passing through, Crixus takes a momentary note to notice as the shadow grows and casts among the fallen. And a tear, like one single tear, drips or runs down his face, and then more tears come, and cries for all the dead from Erkengard, cries for the troubles and the suffering, for everyone that has gone through, his family, the people of the village, and perhaps the world of Abrea. And he looks to this. I mean, I don't know how long it takes to attend to the wounded, but that's pretty much what he's going to take quite a bit of time, I guess, doing
that's
that. And
hours, kind of through the night, right? As you take care of everybody, and the cairns are built and stuff. And so I think that as you're sitting with having dealt with the last of them, amidst kind of your grief and your tears, as the shadow grows along, you see a second shadow kind of approaching you. And you look up and you see one of the survivors is a young boy, not a child per se, like a young adolescent, 13, 14, you don't know his exact age. He's not much younger than you. An Genasi boy from the village. His name is Vandrand. And he's just he knew that you would come, Crixus. Rogash. He told us to keep faith. He said that your father was watching you all, would help guide you here to free us.
yes, my father, it's true. He's been with all of us this whole time, through this whole journey. I hope that he can continue to guide us in the village, the villagers. How are you doing, Vandercrack?
I think he's just
And I say, come with me. And I reach down. I say, come take my hand. I want you to meet someone.
Okay. And so he takes your hand as he's walking with you, and he's my parents didn't make it out of Erkengard. These weeks have been hard, but well, I can't believe that we're alive. And a tear's kind of rolling down his eyes. He follows you. Where are you taking him?
We go to, I guess, I'm not sure. It's where it juts out.
Mm-hmm.
And I look for Angus. And I see him staring into the sun. I guess he's gazing upon the sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I look at Vandercrack. How tall is Vandercrack? Is he my height? Is he shorter, or?
He's shorter than you. He's probably just over 5 feet. His name is Vandercrag is his last name.
Crag.
And,
Crag. Okay, it's Crag. I'm sorry, Vandercrag.
No problem.
I thought I was losing my mind.
No, it was very funny.
That was a good moment.
It's a classic
Vandercrag
D&D
going on,
right there.
So I put my hand on Angus's shoulder. And I tell him, I say, Angus, Vandercrag and I would like to speak to you for a moment.
And he turns.
Okay, sorry. Was having a moment.
I think Vandercrag looks up. You recognize this young boy from Erkengard. You remember him raised by his parents, young Vander, right? And he looks so young next to Crixus, who looks so much older than he did before all of this started, in a sense, to you, I would imagine, right? Yeah.
Vandercrag, please tell Angus what you just told me. of how my father has been watching us and guiding us. Isn't that true, Vanderkrag?
Rogosh said to us that before we got here, that you all would be safe. That Crixus's father was watching over the four of you. That he was going to make sure that you found your way back to us. And that in the end, you would free us. And save us.
So, given that it was my ring that guided us here, and my father gave me the ring, does that mean we have the same father, Crixus? I'm confused.
That's a good. I can't really know since you came before me.
Yeah,
And you found me, didn't you? You found me as an egg.
yeah, that's what confused me. Because my father had passed before we even found your egg, so I don't know how that works. But yeah, we definitely followed my ring here, though.
Hmm. These are questions that perhaps might be answered in the future, but I can tell you that my father has whispered something to me recently, and he's told me to, and I have the rod. And I said to give this to you to help in the future.
Oh,
So I give Angus the rod that I have.
The Rod of Gural Khan. He hands to
Rod.
you the Rod of Gural Khan. This kind of like, it looks almost like a mace, right? This black adamanite bar with these kind of mithril buttons down the edges, the spiked ball at the top.
well, who am I to question the mirthful, eh?
I think that as the pair of you stand here at the end of this like promontory, this like pier jutting out over the vastness of space beneath you, the hills below, the ocean in the distance, light sparkling back up off of it, I think you hear that gave me real joy. This voice in the wind for a minute. And Angus, where is the ring exactly?
It's on my horn.
I think you feel it like vibrating on your horn.
Angus will reach up and remove it and put it on his hands, or
As
hold
you
it in his
draw it
hands.
up, yep, as you take it up off, you're holding it in your palm for a moment and you see it like rise up out of your hand.
Oh, no blood?
Begin vibrating and open into an armillary sphere with no blood. It just begins opening itself, and you feel your hand almost drawn around as you turn and you look down to the ground at your feet. It feels like the armillary sphere almost pulling your hand down towards the earth, and I think you could see it so faint, barely visible as the centuries which have passed have kind of ground it away. This dwarven series of runes that are carved into the earth here, mixed with giant runes themselves. And you see the one like beneath you. Can I have you roll a history check here, like with advantage?
This is like the ring seems to be revealing runes in the pier.
Yeah, it's specifically drawing your hand down to like this one particular rune. Like if you could imagine, there's almost like tiles up here, and a couple of the individual tiles. They're more like stones, right? Flagstones rather than tiles. And so it's drawing your hand to one particular set of runes.
With advantage, that's a 22.
Yeah, I think that like you recognize it as like an ancient marking laid in trails and paths up here. Thing Rogosh taught you. Certainly, you might recognize it as well. Probably Crixus, as the symbol of like a cache, an ancient cache.
We're geocaching now. Angus will prod at the stone to see if it comes loose.
With what?
His finger.
Excellent. I think as you prodded it with your finger. Yeah. I think as you prodded it with your finger, we see the ring closes itself back into a ring and rolls around your hand for a minute, like until it like kind of stops in your palm, and you could feel it like warm almost as it sits in your palm. So when you prod the stone, nothing happens, but the ring has collapsed itself back to a ring.
Right, but like I'm like trying to like pick up, like dig under the stone. Like, can I pry the stone up with my finger? Is there anything like that does it look like it's removable or movable or?
You certainly could see the seams around the edges of it. Yeah.
If my finger won't do it, then perhaps my dagger will. I'm gonna try to pry up the stone.
I think as you like reach for the dagger, the ring like almost rolls itself down like your hand.
I'll put the ring
like
on the stone.
Well, like it's trying to like put itself on your finger. You feel it like almost like trying to like put itself on your hand.
That's not where it goes. But I'll put the ring on my finger.
And it begins to like, it like shrinks down, sizing up to your finger. And you see now a rune glowing on it, mirroring the one that's down at the stone, right? And like, yeah.
The way I'm interpreting what you said about the cash symbol, Angus thinks there's something hidden under the stone.
Yeah, that's what like you would think, and that's like correct. That's what the symbol would indicate. So now like you see the rune begins to like glow as you put the ring on, and the rune like is glowing again on the ring. Like it's you've never seen it etched there, but there's this like thin blue line mirroring the ring, almost like it wants you to like touch the stone.
I don't trust you, ring. I take out my dagger and start prying up the stone.
Crixus, you're like,
are what 18 to 20-year-old children.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what
That's
to do, Dad.
Crixus actually walked away at this point and goes to back to helping out the people.
Okay.
And he leaves Vandercraig there.
And I think Vandercraig like is watching you, and he's like, "That's some ring." And yeah, as you're like digging at it with the dagger, it seems seated pretty firmly. Yeah. You can make.
Is there any sort of like, gosh, I don't know if commotion is the right word, but is there any sort of anything that would grab Erie's attention at what Angus is doing?
I think like people are kind of gathering together. You see Crixus like coming back from out on the pier. You notice Angus now like down on one knee, like working with the dagger, and you can see like this faint kind of blue illumination coming up from him as the rune is like glimmering, right?
As he moves the dagger closer to the stone, and therefore the ring getting closer to the stone, does the ring or the stone increase in brightness as the two come closer to one another?
The symbol on the ring like clarifies, I think, more and more. It becomes like more clear that it's the same symbol.
He will tap the stone with the ring as it is on his finger, like.
And I think that you hear like and dust fires up from the seams around us. The stone is like.
Does he feel like the end of the pier is going to crumble into the abyss?
Yes, roll a dexterity saving throw. No, he does not feel that. He thinks it for maybe there might be like that. I don't know. You tell me that moment is it's like, and then it just begins to like slide back under the ground, and I think that you see like this square hole about like 2 feet by 2 feet going kind of straight down deep almost into the stone, the light shining into the darkness. You catch a bundle wrapped in cloth, in like old, tattered kind of leather, or burlap rather. What looks like the handle of something. It's thin, right? Like a thin, long bundle that's like down inside of it.
I think Eerie, while like looking to Angus and then seeing this like puff of dust and like this weird sound, like looks to Crixus and Holrick and is like, "What's going on over there, Angus? You okay?" And then like starts to make her way over.
Mm-hmm.
Angus casts light into the hole.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
To see what it looks like is in there and how deep it goes.
Okay.
If Ulrich heard Eerie and sees her making her way over, he would make his way over.
Angus will also cast Prestidigitation to create a shower of sparks in the air as code for, hey, something's happening here.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. The others have like gathered over here kind of near this campfire, right? Crixus, you're hanging with everybody else as you see Eerie and Ulrich like heading back over. The young boy Vander is kind of standing here watching Angus. And so you cast light, and what you see at the bottom of this like rectangular hole is the reflection of coin and jewels. And the bundle is like stuffed down into it and just comes like projecting up out of it. It looks like it's like the hole goes down for about like 2 or 3 feet before like the jewels and the coins start. But it's like this vast stockpile of like wealth and then this big thing jutting down into it, you know.
Eerie does like call for like Crixus and Ulrich, and then she'll even look at Ursula like, we should go maybe see what's up over there, probably.
Yeah, she's like chatting with Beaudry for a minute and is like, I'm right.
Crixus is waiting his turn to talk to Ursula.
Okay, so she pauses with you then. She waits with you. As Crixus and Ulrich, Eerie and Ulrich, the two of you come up. And yeah, you see this pit that like Angus is looking down in. It's got this long, thin bundle wrapped in cloth. You see the light reflecting up from the jewels.
How did you find this?
The ring again.
Oh, gosh, that thing is really useful.
Angus will reach into the hole and pull out the bundle.
Okay, you grab it and you pull it out. We hear like the kind of shower of like coins, the shifting of like metal, the tinkling of like the jewels underneath as you pull it up out. It's got this big broad end. It's like a big long handle with this big broad end. Wrapped up. You unwrap it.
It's a Nimbus 2000.
It is. It's a Nimbus 2000. Everybody can fly home and trip. Who's driving?
Angus will unwrap the bundle.
Okay. You
carefully and slowly.
pull the cloth slowly. It like kind of breaks apart as you open it. And I think what you see is this long wooden handle. It's very kind of thick around the base of it, about like 2.5 inches. It looks worn with wear, ancient. The handle wrapped in leather that is gray and blue intertwined. In the base, at the very butt of it, there is a large diamond set, actually. Seems very incongruous with the simplicity in the wood. And as you get down to the base of it and you unwrap it, you see what looks like the head of like a shovel. Though it's so big and massive, it could easily be wielded in the style of like a great axe. And I think you immediately like recognize it as the pair, the like mate to the maul that Ulrich holds. It is in fact the Matic of the Titans. I think you see like the giant runes like down around the base of it and etched into the blade of the shovel itself.
Oh.
I was just Googling Matic. I spelled it correctly, first of all, which is a really good. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
A Matic is effectively like a big shovel, right? Is what we're kind of talking about.
Yeah, the ones I'm saying, they're kind of almost like a shovel combo pick.
Yep, it is basically that. Yep. And so it could easily be like wielded effectively as like a great axe type of weapon. It is massive, right? Much like the Maw of the Titans, it is like this big thing, a tool meant to be like wielded by beings bigger than you, but still like usable, certainly by you guys with the ridiculous strength and size.
He hasn't hefted it up or anything like that. As he's unwrapped it, he's kind of using that also now as a tarp or a covering from the ground. It's just laying flat and on display for all to see. He's not picked it up.
And so Eerie and Ulrich, you guys see it, and they're like,
That's really big.
Yeah.
It's a matic.
Yeah. Jeez.
looks like a shovel to me, says Vandercrag as he like turns and looks over, and I think that the camera follows his gaze to Crixus as you're like standing with Ursula a bit removed from the group that have like circled around the fire, and I think they're all like starting to like break their fasts. They're like kind of going through what food has been gathered, and so Ursula like puts a hand on your shoulder, the massive kind of clawed fingers clattering against your stony scales, and she's just like, what troubles you?
We have to leave and take the villages to safety.
We do.
We should go soon.
She turns, like looking at the sun rising in the sky, and she's like, the sooner the better, boy. You're a wise young man. And I'm proud.
They'll be coming. They'll be looking for her and us.
Well, I have a feeling that she has been found, but they will be looking for you, for all of us. We can't go back, Crixus. We have to go forward.
Of course. But I know what I must do. But I believe that I'm going to have to do something different from the villagers. I can't risk anyone else's safety anymore. It's too dangerous for them. I can't see another life lost, especially not for me. They're hunting for me, so I'm going to go. You take them, lead them away, lead them to safety, away into the mountains, far, far away, far from the cities.
We cannot go back into the mountains. The time for hiding is past. If you believe you must walk alone with your father, you're no boy anymore, and I won't fight you. And I think she glances back at your friends, looking at this like unraveled package. She's like, I cannot say that they won't, and you have a part to play with them, or to explain at least. They are the only ones who could be owed that much at least. So I will support whatever you do, but I would ask, before you walk off.
I tell her, shh. Please, there's been too much suffering. I do not want to talk to my friends and let them know. I've caused them too much danger already. I'm going to go now. Shh. And I say this remember, you will always be in my heart. And all of them, all the villages and my friends will be in my heart. And I hug her goodbye, and I'm sobbing.
Well, she like grabs you as you're like holding her, right? As you're hugging her, she like wraps her powerful arms around you, and she grabs you firmly at the shoulder. And I think she like chokes back a like gasp for a moment, and she's just like,
She's injured too, right?
Yeah, she's like healed up a bit from last night. I mean, you've tended her wounds, but yeah, she's worn and battered. She's like not at her full form. So what she says to you is she's like leaning in, and you're like kind of sobbing. She's holding you, and she says, I will not betray you. I will not take from you this thing if it's what you desire. But Crixus, these mountains will not be the same again. We have bloodied them. They will send back another legion and another. They will come teeming like rats searching for every hide and cave there is here. We will go.
Perhaps, Ursula.
She like gestures.
You should go, but remember, for me, I am of the dirt and the rocks of Abrea. and I will become part of it.
And so she gestures like
And they'll
out
never find me.
and says, do you see that? Like pointing to the ocean. Beneath it is the greatest mountainscape the world has ever seen. I have met those who know it. We will go to seek the last Titan. I will go with the dwarf. I have no place to go back. We cannot go back into the hills.
Oh my God.
I wish you farewell and good luck. Sweet water and smiles until the next.
And she's just like, you're making the wrong choice, but I will not stand in your way. And she like lets go of you, like,
I tell her there are no wrong choices, except I am dangerous to be around at this moment in time, and I will enter the rocks.
Are you so naive? They did not come here for you. They came here for slaves. They came for all of us. They will hunt for everyone. If they find us down there, they will simply find us without your aid.
Perhaps, but they were looking for me, and they did enough.
And they will continue to look. But do not walk away believing this is a selfless thing only, Crixus Copperstone. You leave them without your strength and your guidance. That is your choice, and you're right. You have suffered more than I ever would have dreamed or hoped for you. You have paid in tears and blood.
I cannot bear to have any more suffering around me at all. I cannot bear it at all. But I'll tell you this, though. If you look to the third star, to the great moon of Abrea, and if you need me, call out to Ruldo, and he will send a sign to me, and I will venture back. And then from there, I, head into the mountains.
Okay. So she lets you go. She, like, stands as you go, and I think, like, shakes her head and sighs, like, tiredly as you begin to make your way up back into the Drakencairns. And I think it's with, like, slow, heavy footfalls that she joins the three of you as you're examining this mattock, and it's just like, that is not a thing I thought to see here. But of course, that's where they left it. Do you know what this is?
Yeah, that's a mattock.
That's the mattock.
It looks like a shovel, but notice the pick.
I think she says to you, Angus, that is the mattock of the Titans. And then she looks to you, Ulrich, and like gestures with her chin, and she's like, these two things, they built this place. The tomb of Gural Khan, the very halls that made Erkengard our home. These were the devices of old that the Titans used to forge these hallowed halls with the dwarves in the days after the arrival. They are powerful weapons, but they were created to create, not destroy.
The Maul included?
Indeed, she says, when the Titans built these things, they crafted them as tools. I would imagine that together with time and research, with knowledge lost to us, you could learn to master them in that way, as well as, to wield them to break the will of our enemies. This is quite a thing.
I think Eerie knocks her staff into the ground a few times. Did they make a staff somewhere as a tool?
Like she smiles down at you, these vicious fanged teeth in her maw, And she's like,
I
not them, girl, no. But there are many yet out there to be found. And she gestures to the south.
I just look at Erie and go, that is the most vicious fishing pole there has ever been.
It's true. She like stomps it a few more times.
I would take on the burden of learning them both. I would like to learn how to learn them both. I don't want to overstep my bounds and assume that nobody else has the same feeling as I.
I think you hear a voice from behind you like, I would have balked at it some 10 days ago. But you should carry both. And you see Beaudry Ironstave kind of standing behind you out here on the promontory. And he's like, we've hard decisions to make. I don't know what the future holds for you and your kin. I've bled with you, and I would do so again. But I must go. We drew stones before we came. Brunhilde drew short. We sent her ahead with all the coin that we had, with all the hope that we had. And he like gestures like, we sent her there. The city on the coast. We told her to buy ponies and wagons and food and blankets and boots and blades, as many as she could afford, enough to carry whatever folk we found here where we go. We are but 3, and we'll be 4 if she survived her task. But we make for the coast with the map. The equinox approaches. The word said that we must stand with our legs in the lapping waves. When the day is balanced, and we would see this lighthouse.
Could make it 5.
Yeah, I pick up the mattock and I turn to Beaudry and I say, I'm so sorry. I was so incredibly short-sighted. We would have been dead many times over if it wasn't for you and your people. And these weapons, these tools were meant to be side by side and together. And what better quest could they be used on than to go back to the last Titan? So I hold it out to him. And I say, I think we need to swing these side by side.
And his head turns, and I think that you hear from behind, like, don't be bashful about it, all right?
Yeah.
And he like turns, looking back as Tastra approaches, and like Bindle's like, Bindle just like I think looks to you, Ulrich, and nods. I think like you see the like gaze of like your parents from the grouping of the others by the fire in the back, and Beaudry is like, I'll carry this thing. So long as you're willing to walk beside me, young Stormbeard. Will you come then on this journey? The lot of you?
Yeah, where's Crixus?
He was, I think, waiting to talk to Ursula. Oh, hi, Ursula. Sorry.
And she like kind of turns, looking back to the north, and she's like, he owes you an apology. I suppose you might think I do as well. But he's gone.
You talked to him and he just left? You just let him go?
You are not children for me to rein in anymore, Eerie Silverspark. I cannot tell you where you may go or not. You have all suffered terribly. He's paid the price in blood and tears to earn the right to walk where he will. Though I do think that he owed you more words.
I'm right, he did. He didn't even say goodbye.
He's probably just scouting ahead. We'll catch up to him.
You never know with that one, do you? Perhaps we will. Perhaps.
Oh.
I told him that I would join myself to this noble servant of the shepherds. We have 7 left. 10, including the 3 of you. 11, yourself. We are all that remains of Erkengard, but Erkengard is gone. We cannot go back, only forward. You must find the metallurgists and be taught proper spellcraft.
Okay.
It's not your fort, girl. I'm an ogre from the mountains and never learned the forms right. I can only ever take you so far. And I think she looks to you, Angus, and she's like, you need to write the story of what happened here. You know that already.
Well, it's more of an oral tradition.
Well,
Unfortunately, I don't know if I'm going to be heading towards the with the group here. I kind of follow my dad's ring, so it's out of my hands. Well, literally, it's in my hand, but it's out of my hand.
No.
Of course. Of course. It helped you then.
We followed
yeah,
it all
you
this
betcha.
way.
It's awake again. Good. You're the Brighthorn now, Angus. Well chosen for the task. Well, I would not stand in your way any more than I did your brother's. She turns looking back to the north. And then I think she's glancing at Halric. She's like, you will need to learn to use those things. Something is going to have to be built on the ruins of this cursed dynasty, where I will spend every day that I have left seeking to break it. Once you all are safe.
Well, it would seem the first step is finding the Titan. And Beaudry, you talked about coin and weapons. It seems there's many and more down here.
Yeah, and I think that Hester peers over the edge
Get away from
And I
the
think-
edge.
oh, don't worry. There's only one place I'm jumping. And she dives down into the pit of gold, and you hear and you just hear her voice echoing up out of the hall. Oh, it's glorious! It's as good as I've always. Oh, I always wanted to swim in a tub filled with coin. Oh, I'm going to take my armor off, And it's at this point that Bindle is
Scrooge,
all right.
come on,
Yeah,
Scrooge.
right, we need to get this together, And so I think that Ursula is let us say our final goodbyes to those we leave here. Gather all that we need and begin. Each hour that we waste here is an hour that we give back to them. Certainly they would have sent back scouts and outriders now that they're this close.
Angus, where have you looked at the ring yet? Where is it pointing now?
No, I haven't. I haven't. It
I offer him my blade.
no. It just kind of activated on its own and was helped find this thing down here. So I don't know if it has to rest it. I'm not really keen to cut myself just yet. But so I can count on one hand like where I'd even know to like spend gold. Like in my life, I've seen zero places that would actually take it. Like we barter, so I take it this is a lot of gold.
It's a fortune, boy. A fortune.
Only if you have a place to spend it, eh?
Well, where we're going, it's going to be hard. But we'll use every coin of it, I'll tell you that much.
Can't eat it.
A furry hat.
No, but you can buy a hell of a lot of food with it, boy.
I think that's my point. Like I don't that we've been anywhere like to buy food. I think we've been hunting and scavenging and
I think it's at this point that Ursula's like, we are leaving the mountains now, Angus. If your path lies with us, if your path lies anywhere in those lands, the world you are about to discover is quite different from the one you have known till now. Their ways, well, are not all bad, and neither are the people, to be frank. But the dynasties are evil to their core, corrupt systems built to ensure power is maintained.
Ursula, you should know, and I would want everybody to remember. Obviously we're hunted. But one of the dynasty, Lothar, who was a part of a hunting party that chased us, and we killed him. And Crixus brought him back, and he traveled with us and helped us. And in a fight against a dragon, he fell and died.
like literally he fell. He fell a long way.
Very, very far. Yep.
He didn't fall in battle. He fell.
She says, you slew the razor strike then.
Yeah.
I wondered if he merely deserted to go back to his queen and supplicate if he was going to return with more forces. You killed the first dragoon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least I can find small joys amidst the sorrow of a day like today.
I look at her and I say, we have stories for many months worth of meals.
Yeah, we do.
I think it's at this point Beaudry is kind of like put the dwarves to work. They're starting to like get the coin up out. And he's like, we'll be glad to have you with us for as long as you're willing. We will make for the coast. 5 days, I count. And Ursula says, until the equinox? Yes, 5 days. She like looks to the sky like, I know not where this map leads, but we should press. The sooner we're away from that place, the better.
Yeah.
As the dwarves are excavating the cache, Angus considers what their ogre mage mentor said, and he reaches in and grabs a handful and adds 7 gold pieces to his inventory.
7?
Well, I was trying to guess like a handful for a minotaur. Like,
sure.
I'm guessing they're kind of big. So yeah, I'm thinking like if it was Kurt doing it, it might just be 4 or 5. but Angus has a slightly bigger hand, so I'm guessing he grabs able to just grab 7 in a handful. He's more than doubled, just more than doubled his wealth.
His loot, yeah, that's freaking useful. So I think that in these like like last hours up here at the Hall of the Titans, like they gather up the gold. The villagers have like gone around and kind of taken supplies. There's like a Bowyer Fletcher, the Air Genasi, who's with you. Risa Kine, she's like the Bowyer Fletcher, so she's like got arrows that she's gathered up in bundles and like handed out a bunch of the bows to everyone. I don't know if there's anything else that you guys want to like talk about with these folks before you go.
Is this? Remember, this is the next day, correct? Like we've rested overnight.
Yeah. Well, sure. Like, yes, we can say like everybody's gotten a long rest. Absolutely.
So I would ask Ursula, like, I mean, a lot of these people are common town folk, and I know they were willing to pick up weapons, but, I would ask her privately, are we planning on taking these people into battle, or are we going to find places along the way to deposit them, safe places?
I need to find a safe home for them. She's like speaking quietly.
Yeah.
And she's like, your parents, they are no fighters. Vander Crag has years yet. He's no Crixus Copperstone. She says, Risa and Aspen, at least, they will fight if it comes to it, but they are no adventurers. No, we need to find a new home. I can hope against hope that we find this crystal lighthouse that appears at the equinox in the ocean.
I believe in Crystal Lighthouse.
She says, I can hope against all hope that it is real, but in truth, I plan to drive us east. I know old refuges, allies amongst the Metallurgists Guild. I will find some hamlet or village somewhere inland where I can stash them away. Some place that the Legion will not think to look for the survivors of Erkengard, at least. My goal is not to take them into some great odyssey beyond, but to make a safe home for them so I can do what I must next.
Months ago, my life was hunting goats and fishing in underground lakes. And now I hold a 1,000-year-old mall. Is it really that great of a leap at this point to believe there'd be a crystal lighthouse in the ocean at the equinox? I don't think so.
About that, you are right. I worry more. A year ago I would not have said this to you for fear that I might frighten a youth. But my worry now is that whatever lighthouse there was is long since destroyed. But we may hope. Let us hope also that your brother's ring leads him with us. My heart is heavy to see one walk away already.
Yeah, hopefully his father has more wisdom than you or I could convey.
And I think to that, Beaudry is like, there are many who give words of prayer and worship to Ruldo in the golden halls of the Mother Vala. That one, he'll be watched. I'm certain of it. Though I am sorry I couldn't say goodbye. And so I think that, with that, a lot of you are all able to kind of gear up. Packs heavy on your back. Food stuff's filled from the last of the army. And you begin your journey, right? The maps are consulted. Angus, I don't know, what's your plan here? As, like, the group is getting ready to, like, depart and follow the maps down out of the mountain.
He will remove the ring from his finger, and he will cut hit point damage.
Mm-hmm.
He will.
As you take the ring off of your hand, between the fingers. You like look through the circle of it. And I think you see an image looking back at you. An older, stronger, broader-shouldered minotaur. A face you have not seen since you were very young. And you just see an image of your father. I'm sorry, what was his name, Angus?
Chuck.
So, I think you see Chuck peering back.
The great Brighthorn Chuck.
And I think that you just see him like peering back at you through like the ring, right? He's kind of like wreathed in like this fog. He's very tiny. It's just his face. And I think that like he smiles, nodding to you. And you hear this voice in the back of your mind, like, "You have done what none could since the kingdoms of the shepherds fell. We are at ease in our rest beyond. Thank you, my son."
Papa?
Just... Know that we are proud. Both. And the image like begins to fade as the armillary sphere activates again.
No, well, with blood.
Nope.
But come on,
No blood.
he hasn't cut himself yet, then, because all this he wouldn't have cut himself till after
Nope.
he got the ring off.
This is like as you took
Yeah.
the ring off,
Yep.
exactly, right?
I'm just fighting.
And
This
sigh.
hit point I said I spent, it hasn't been spent yet.
Nope. So the ring begins spinning again, and it doesn't draw you in a direction. It's not pulling you anywhere. But I think that you see a sight through it, right? Again, it's like this ring that's like flapping over itself, and as each one goes, it's like frames of like a moving picture. And what you see is this tower of crystal. It's glimmering pink because it's reflecting the light of the moon. And you see like waves crashing against its base. And it just kind of holds like that for as long as you kind of hold it above your hand.
Has anybody else seen this?
Yeah, I mean, if
You
you
coming
ask,
with us?
I don't think the ring's working. It's not pulling me in any specific direction.
Completely lost without the GPS.
But it's showing what looks like. Now, how do I? Can I get it? Can it stop, please?
Yeah,
Oh, you
I
know
think
what?
as you
It
like
didn't
consider
pull
for
me in
it
a
to
direction
stop.
because I didn't activate it with blood. So I'm gonna now cut my finger, take a hit point of damage,
Okay.
and then drip the blood into the ring.
As you like go to drip the blood into the ring like still spinning on one hand, right? You're like bloop, and I think that the like ring like the blood like falls into the inside and kind of like the tower itself gleams pink as it like vanishes and the ring closes, falling into your hand as it rolls and comes to a stop.
Okay, I'm gonna drip another drop of blood in it. Because maybe I need it. It needs to not be spinning when you apply the blood.
Yep.
I'm not
So you
cutting
cut
myself again.
You don't cut yourself again.
bleeding.
You still got 1 hit point of damage. Yeah, 1 hit point of damage is worth more than a single drop
Good.
of blood. That's very fair. So you drop more blood on it, and nothing happens. The blood rolls off the side of the ring. And I think, are you watching all this, Erie? Or do you
Yeah.
want to make an Arcana check? You and Angus, you may as well make Arcana checks.
He's like wiping his finger like all over the ring. Like, why aren't
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
working?
Yeah.
Oh,
With advantage? Question mark.
I know he doesn't. Angus doesn't make an Arcana check.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Okay. Eerie, yeah, you're like clearly like you're watching him and it's not working the way it used to.
The heck?
I didn't have to roll to learn that, Erie. Ha!
Could you imagine months of traveling with this guy cutting his fur day in the same clothes? He must look like a butcher. You know what I mean?
Just like all the little blood spots on his sleeve, you know.
I mean, it's a pinprick. It's not. I'm just cutting the tip of my finger.
It's a hit point, man.
Well, so I think that to this that Ursula is like, well, does it say that you walk with us?
It needs more choke.
Yeah, it does. Angus is coming with us, right, Angus?
Come on, Angus.
Fine.
It's a very old thing, she says. Your father didn't know much of its ways, but he said that it was passed down many generations for a reason. There's a job to be done by the Brighthorn. Perhaps you've done it.
Well, it's no longer pulling me in a specific direction, but it's showing me a destination, and it looks like it might be that crystal lighthouse.
Perhaps it cannot pull you.
Because it's not the equinox and it's not there yet.
That's not what I was thinking, but that's a good theory. Well, we have much time to discuss it while we walk. And I think that it fades out into black. And I think that we open out of the black on one figure walking alone through the mountains, Crixus. Is there anywhere in particular you are going, Crixus?
Back to my hermitage.
Oh, you're going to go back to the ruins of Erkengard. Okay.
Wait, beyond that.
Yeah.
I was
Up higher into the mountains alone. Yeah. So
Yes.
as you're like making your way back into the mountains, I think that there is this like rock slide on a hill across from you. You like hear it, you feel it before it happens. You look, you see the first boulder tumble and others roll. And as the rocks like cease kind of their tumbling, there's like this chuckling kind of following in it. Like, you've chosen a path I did not expect, my son. You head back to the mountains. You will go further, or will you make a den to rest for a time?
Further and deeper.
Come and find me if you can, my boy. I will keep watch on you. You've done a thing that must. You've sent the stones tumbling. An avalanche begins. Find my mirthful halls, Crixus Copperstone. There are many who share your heart and soul. Your brothers and sister. They have earned their place in my heart for their deeds. I will keep an eye on them for you.
Thank you. And as you always have, thank you. Watch them, guide them, keep them from harm, and keep them safe.
You are owed some joy. Some do not understand how I can laugh in such a dark world. But we have only the joy that we can make for one another when the night is darkest.
If you do not laugh, then you will cry. So laughter is the best medicine.
I chose well in you.
Or perhaps I chose you.
A dung beetle walks into a tavern and says, "Is this stool taken?" I told you that one. My sister.
Oh, father, that's such a father joke.
I think with the father joke in play, the camera fades again.
And then, maybe at night, what I do is I transform into a bat and I fly
Oh, yes.
all the way to the Hermitage.
As the camera fades to darkness and we see the starry sky, the twinkling motes of light in the heavens above Abrea, I think we see the silhouette of the fat pink desert moon Arian, and we see the flitting of a bat as it kind of zooms past, the camera trailing after Crixus Copperstone for a time as he makes his way back to the north. And with that same kind of night sky, we cut back to the lot of you travelers, a group 14 all told. You've made your way through the winding passes for a day down into the foothills. You made camp under the same night sky that Crixus flew through. Another day worth of travel, and the foothills dwindle to the strangest sights that the three of you have seen. A world covered in grass. As spring has
Angus,
set upon you.
His mouth starts watering a little bit, and he's not sure why. He just sees this nothing but this pasture stretching before. He's like, "What's going on?"
Oh,
Oh my goodness.
The streets
Oh,
that it's a dinner monologue.
that's priceless.
And so it's on the evening of the second day that you've made it to like the base of the foothills. And I think Ursula and Beaudry pulled a lot of you together, the three of you. And he's just like, we're only days from the city now. He says, we're only some few miles from the city here. That way. And he points down the right fork of the road. Leads there. We told Brunhild to find us before we hit flat ground. We're already quite a bit farther than I'd hoped, which means she's delayed or stopped or, well, worse. We have a choice to make. I hate to keep us here out pinned in the open like this for too long, but are we willing to wait for a time? Or shall we press on to the trail? Do we keep ourselves walking and get as far away from this place as we can?
Well, we should at least wait a little longer.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a shame to let all this beautiful. I mean,
can't even do it.
when have we ever seen anything this flat before? and green, lots of green.
You don't want to keep moving.
Is it hot today? I'm just. I'm all for like waiting a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that the hours of the night pass tensely. And as dawn is like coming closer, I think Beaudry is like chattering with the other dwarves a bit, and most of you understand Dwarven, I think, and you catch like some of the words traded, like, "We cannot wait for her. If she was captured or fell, well, that's all the more reason we need to move quickly." And he says, he's just like, "Aye, so be it then." And so he like tells you all like, we don't dare wait through the daylight. At least if we begin our way to the west, well, we should reach where we're going in time. And so as you all kind of like gathering your stuff, putting packs back on your shoulders, I think you hear the like trundling. You see some like dust down the road in this first like early hours of like the pre-dawn light. And there's like some real tension, as I think Ursula and probably you all are like, yeah, let's get some cover. Maybe hide. And so like hiding in the tall grass and behind trees and like these 14 people who are not very great at hiding. Yeah. Do any of you want to like wade in the road or what?
I think Erie would at least wait, like, and like have something like prepared, like if she's like hit something with fire. Maybe not fire, but
Okay, so I think Erie is like poised behind a rock, probably, yeah, ready with fire. I mean, you guys have come from like a hellishly harrowing
like
experience.
force because there's grass.
Okay.
She's
You're
maybe
like
that intelligent.
prepping force explosion, and I think as like the dust kind of like, and you hear like the trundling of like hooves around the corner, like you see ponies like pulling a cart, this like lone figure like riding on the top of it, and I think you hear like this grumbling voice amidst it, just like carts and wagons, come on, you daft horses. There's like a rope over their shoulder. It's like, yes, you recognize Bernhild, the dwarf, desperately trying to like maintain the reins on this horse and cart while she's like holding a rope to another horse and cart behind her. Like under like one armpit, it's kind of like tied.
Brunhild!
Like they're leading. And she's just like kind of cursing, and so like you call out Erie, and I think Beaudry is like, by the grace of the mother, you've made it, Brunhild! And he like darts up out of like the cover. Bindle and Hester kind of like racing with them. And she like pulls the cart up short, which is like a real mess of a thing. It does not stop easily, and she's just like, by the grace, the lot of you, you're alive. Where is this it? This is everyone.
Well, except for our friend Crixus. He's probably like a day ahead of us. But I'm pretty sure we're heading to the same place.
Good then. Oh, by the grace. I thought we were doomed. This is good. They're marshalling forces. They know that the lot of you are up there. They've been putting together a patrol. They started last night late. And I think that like she turns looking back towards the city and is like, they march out today for the mountains. I feared that if I had to go too high back up into the hills, we would be caught trapped up on the road between the anvil and the hammer. I worried.
Well, let's get moving then, huh?
Yeah, and I think at this point the folks are like, Ursula's coaxing people up out from like behind trees, kind of gathering, ushering everybody over, and she's like muttering probably to like you three and Beaudry, and like the other dwarves are like kind of helping, throwing people's gear up into the things, helping load people in, and she's just like, it was all I could do to get any kind of a deal on anything. Well, gold doesn't go as far as we thought it would, and they saw me coming. Oh, by the light, I worried that I wouldn't have enough wagons for all of us. I worried that I'd never see any of you again. All right, this is better than nothing. And so you're all able to load up into the wagons and continue.
What's pulling the wagons? Horses?
Ponies.
Ponies? Have we seen ponies before?
No.
Oh boy.
No, you've seen things like ponies. Yeah.
Let's take a moment. Angus is going to... I'm not sure how he feels about beasts of burden and them being harnessed into this contraption. He will approach and nod his head and say, "Hello, friend. Good work you are doing." I do not speak your language. Fair enough. Okay. As you were.
I think while Angus is having this conversation, I think Erie is having that horrible moment where you like try and swing like a sack of something, and she's just too short, so it just
Keeps,
like hits the
smashing
side and
into
like
the side of
falls
the
back into her
wagon.
face, and she's like trying to like push it up over the edge. It's just a very sad
Sounds like a
sight.
very lived-in experience, Taylor.
Don't.
As a man who has had to chase wagons on the farm of your family's namesake, attempting to throw 100-pound bags of potatoes onto a wagon as tall as I am, I sympathize with Erie's plight in this moment. So I think with Angus, trying to chat with the ponies, a lot of you all load up, and so you go. And so the next days pass. I think that like the wagons move mostly, and I think that it's on the third day, the 5th day since you rode, the day of the equinox, that you awaken. You have the tablets of the map fused back together, the instructions, the ring, still showing you this crystal tower in the sea. And I think that you all are wakened by a frantic Ursula, a rest not completed, as you rise for the dawn. And she's just like, we need to go. We need to have the horses hitched and move now, as quickly as we can. And I think that as the sun is rising again on this 5th dawn since the battle at Titan's Hall, you can see the cloud of dust back from the east as a great force is moving along the road westwards. And she's just like, they are legion to be sure. I'm certain the hornet's nest is stirred now. Scouts have likely reported they could have made it to Titan Hall and back on Wyvern easily. We made no effort to conceal the dead. Those burning pyres still smoke with the stink of their rotting flesh, I'm sure. They will scurry now like rats across the kingdom, racing here and there, repositioning, seeking to secure their hold on border territories. But all I know is that we cannot be caught up by them. We must move. So you load into the wagons, and this last day of travel is a frantic one, as the ponies are pushed to their limit. Points where, like, the dwarves are like, we should get off. Beaudry, like, makes you Hulric get off, and, like, you two run next to the wagons to, like, minigame wait. The dwarves all, like, running, your short legs, like, you're not fast, but neither are the ponies with these big fucking wagons, and you guys are stout little bastards. And so I think that the day presses on, the frantic pressure, and you find yourself following the map as the sun is falling. This force in the distance closing on you, gaining ground. And as the day wears out, the sun falling over the western horizon, a lot of you with Beaudry's paper copy of the map that you repaired in Gruul Khan's tomb. He leads you. This is it. There, look. And he's like pointing from the map to like, those are the peaks. That is the tail end of your Drakencairns, which have wrapped around west down to where they like meet the sea completely. And he's like, this is the beach. It's the only place. The stones are just as such. The silhouette there. I suppose it is. I'll stand with my legs in the waves. A thing I'd not thought ever to do since the first time I heard a song of an ocean.
Yeah.
And so, like, you hammer the wagons down onto, like, the edge of the beach. The sand off the hard-packed road. The wheels sinking into them a bit. The dwarves leaping off, gathering gear quickly. Ursula helping the others come down. And I think it's at this point that you hear a sound all too familiar as you peer to the sky and you see wyverns from behind the kind of dust cloud of the force moving down the road. a dozen of them at least, in formation, the flying V. They pitch and turn as they kind of pass the army and are closing down on you. And I think it's at this point that, like, Beaudry cries out, like, we need to move. We need to move quickly. Come with me. And Ursula is just like, by the grace of the shepherds, give us just this one last thing. One last miracle. And so the three of you have a moment here, if there's anything you would like to do. As Ursula is kind of like ushering the villagers, Beaudry and the dwarves at the lead of this pack, as they're like literally like running now down the beach towards the like coast, towards the waves and the water and the ocean.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would take them all in large to make myself a target.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully more villagers can get away.
Mm-hmm. And you're going to hold your ground at the wagons, though.
Yeah.
Eerie, Angus, what do you guys want to do? Ulrich, like, masses up in size as the wyverns now are, like, getting closer and beginning to, like, drop down in towards you guys.
No way, Erie is like shouting, like, Ulrich, get over here! Get in the water! I think she's like preparing like to throw like a fireball at these things if they get close enough.
Mm-hmm.
But she's yelling at everybody to like.
What's the range of your fireball? Angus, how about you?
Angus is making an insight check
Sure.
to see if he's kind of put two and two together. Nope. He takes out his sword and stands next to Ulrich.
Okay. You pull your sword. Eerie, what's the range?
150 feet.
Boom. The wyverns close into 150 feet. The like villagers, Ursula, the dwarves, have all like reached the edge of the coast. You hear the splashing footsteps of the other 11 people as they storm towards the water. You hear the roar of Ursula from behind. What are you idiots doing with us?
Erie's yelling and like
Eerie.
at like Angus and Ulrich and like running towards Ursula as she like throws back like a fireball at the like group.
Go ahead, cast
All right.
your fireball.
All right.
Eerie hurdles a fireball. What does it look like?
I think it's like it's literally like a backswing. Like she just like pulled like her staff in her hand. She just like swings it backwards and like just a ball of fire just rolls up and off the staff and then like explodes. And it is fire.
Here, we'll give you 4 of them. Yeah, that's a bunch of bad saving throws. Boom! Wyverns shriek. The formation breaks. The riders like kind of screaming in the air, as it were. Unreal. What were you gonna say, John?
You know, I mean, always being such a leader and a mother figure, I think if Ursula was yelling that, I would grab Angus and start pulling him. Let's go.
Eerie, you do see 3 of the 4 riders on these wyverns blasted off their backs, bodies like writhed in fire, tumbling through the air. Angus, the massive form of Ulrich, pulls at your shoulder. Let's go! Are you going to turn with him and go?
Yeah.
Okay. The 2 of you begin running. Eerie, you turn, falling in with them, racing towards the water, as you suddenly see the pink light of the moon, the kind of the clouds part, the pink light of the moon reflecting up off the water as the sun is dipping beneath the horizon. Shrieks of the griffins in the air. You hear a horn blow from the sky. Shrill and terrible, the same as the horns that blew in Erkengard that day. You turn, looking to your friends, and you see them all. You see the dwarf. You see Ursula. You see the mother and father, Stormbeard. And the others, Aspen and Risa. You see Vanderkrag, the poor gnomish figure held in the arm of the Firbolg, Kimball, and Bonnie Gravelpit. the halfling, the water splashing up on her shoulders. And then in the distance you see it. First like a gleam, like a single line of like this pink light rising. And then it begins to kind of like fill out this gleaming crystal lighthouse, impossibly far away. No chance you could reach this thing. It's miles, distances from your years in the mountains, looking at the peaks far away. And then you hear Beaudry. Look, what? By the light of the shepherds. And like a wave is kind of like rolling at you. And he's just like, oh, by the grace of the mother, we're all going to drown out here. As it suddenly kind of breaks in the center. Its center momentum coming towards you, parting as the water like washes over. You see the figures like bob lifted into the water and rising up out of it. The form of a figure 5 times the height of Ursula Vandrand. They stand with their skin kind of reflecting the pink light of the moon. It's almost like alabaster, long, coiled mane of hair wraps down around their shoulder over the chest. They hold in their hand a boulder. Their face smooth, eyes with a strange kind of purple cast to them as the pink light reflects off. And you hear this booming voice. So long I have come, and found none waiting. Come, Heirs, come! These foul things hold no ground here today. And like, the boulder like flies through the air past you, and you hear like griffins shriek, bodies breaking in the sky. The dwarves are screaming. Ursula calls, come! Grabbing like Eerie in one hand, pulling Ulrich forward in the other. And this is when you see the Titan like walking forward, the water like falling away, standing well over 40 feet tall. The water is like cascading off of him as he comes up towards you, and you see that there's a rope tied about his waist, and he's dragging behind him this long skiff of a boat. And he like pulls it up out of the water, one hand easily, turning it upside down. It's like the like flooded water dumps out of it, and then carefully he like rights it and places it gently on the ground, on the ocean beside him, like, fire in, Heirs. Too long have I waited for this day.
Get in.
Go, everybody get in.
The dwarves are like screaming curses. I think Beaudry Ironstave is just like the snot in his mustache, seawater splashing over him. He's like sobbing. Brunhild is like screaming a terrible battle cry. Ursula like wheels, throwing a fireball or a lightning bolt of her own, like streaking back into the sky behind you.
Yeah, Erie's like throwing as many like fireballs, like force balls, just like
boom! Another like fireball like off of Ursula's shoulder on the tiny form of Eerie.
Lightning bolt.
At this point,
lightning bolt.
I love it. And so yeah, Ulrich, as your size is massive, you're kind of able to like easily help the others up into the boat, flipping up in yourself just as the enlarged shrinks. And I think it's at this point that this massive figure turns, looking down at the twin pairs of the Maul and the Matic of the Titans, and he's like, you dwarves are going to have a long conversation with me about that. And I think that with that, he's like, let's get out of here. And he lifts the boat up out of the ocean with all like 15 of you in it. Like, hold on tight in there. It's going to be a bumpy ride. As he like places the bolt over his shoulder and like, one more for good measure. heaves another like boulder into a griffin that's kind of like diving down towards the lot of you like a bolt. You watch its like head snap back, cracking, and with that, the Titan turns and begins wading back into the pink reflected light of the moon on the surface of the ocean. This massive crystal lighthouse gleaming with this pink light in the distance. And I think Beaudry Ironstave is just like, we did it, Mother! We did it! Oh, I cannot believe it! He's like sobbing, like grabbing at your shoulder, Ulrich, like, he lives, boy. There's hope yet. And I think Ursula has like put you down on a bench here, and she's just like, when you're that big, you hit things with staff. But those were good fireballs.
Thank you.
Very good fireballs.
I thought you said he was a young Titan. Gee.
I've never met one before. This is probably a good time for me to admit I may have spoken with more authority than I should have about certain things, but I think she's just like, there was a severe lack of education. I needed to take a strong stance, and you can't be indecisive when you're teaching the young. You understand here.
Also, this might be a good time to just tell you that I haven't memorized all the spells yet, but I will.
What? And I think that unless there are any parting words that the three of you would like here in the ship, then I think that the camera fades again. And I'll just ask Mike, where do we see Crixus Copperstone as we open on the closing shot? Like, Crixus, what is it? Where do we see you?
Sleeping, probably curled up in a ball.
In your old shelter, in the same kind of place that we first saw you in the beginning. You've made it home and have kind of regrouping there before you press on further. Okay.
Yes.
I think that we take in the sight of Crixus sleeping in a small shelter in the mountain. And the camera trails down from there over the ruins of the broken halls of Erkengard to the cave entrances leading up from the tunnels deep below, to the tower of goblins who've found a new home, abandoned now, over the entryway to the tomb of Gural Khan, and over the final site of the hall of the Titans, where I think we see a lone eagle just fly across above the scene and cry once, and the camera fades to black. And I think that that's where we leave our adventurers for now.
Nice.
Huzzah! I hope that was fun, you guys. This has been like a journey in the making. Yeah, I hope that was fun.
That was great.
Yeah.
Yes, it was fun.
Postscript, epilogue to the epilogue. Are there any like final scenes here that you all like feel that like we need to see before we leave the four of you, the Titans' heirs, for at least the time being?
Eerie frantically memorizing the spells as she didn't.
Yeah, the postscript, like we see Eerie like sitting at a like long table, the shadow of Ursula looming over at him as she frantically scribbles an inkwell in front of her, a window to the side that shows nothing but the sea.
I think on the boat, I would look at Ursula and say, I hope this to be the first step in bringing real fury to the doorstep of the dynasties.
We know now, at least, where we can leave the villagers to be safe.
Yeah.
Angus, parting moment. This is your cue.
Yeah, it's not ready.
Okay.
It's got to be upsetting. No grass grows in the salt sea. I mean,
Seaweed, baby, seaweed. Crixus, any final words you have for old Ruldo, or is that it? Okay. And so I say to you, my friends, thank you all for taking this journey with me. I said to you all last year in October, I have this short adventure. I think it'll be probably 3 months. I think it's probably 10 or 12 sessions. This is officially episode 26. I believe that 2 of them are Firelight Tales in there. We had our 2 side quest episodes with Hilks and Sharp. So we're somewhere in the region of, if you were to go back and watch the whole campaign, it's roughly in the, 46-ish hour range, 45, right? We're just over a solid work week of, full end to end the story of the Titans Heirs. It was not the story I expected it to be when you started, but I hope it was rewarding and fun for you guys. Yeah. And I really from the bottom of my heart can't tell you how much I appreciate you all being willing to do this. We put our home game on big time pause because I've just been so busy in the last year, and I miss our other friends that we played with there, and really look forward to reconnecting with that and kind of zapping that thing, casting a little bit of raise dead on that because it's been quite a few months since we've been there. But I would very much love to return to these characters again at some point here on the Twitches.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What are you guys? You guys have final thoughts? I know, what are your final thoughts here?
I think this is wonderful. I loved Abrea. I love this little group. This these kids, these children of such a unique background and such a unique setting. And with a unique quest and a unique journey. Nothing like I've ever played before. And, of course, my interesting choice of playing Wizard that survival space was very interesting. And I do not claim to be the world's greatest wizard, as this was my first. And
you did great.
Yeah, you definitely held it.
You did great. Don't let any of the things I've ever said or any of us have said certainly make you think you didn't. For a first pass on a wizard, this is a hard environment to wizard in, and you did a great job. Yeah.
I mean, I loved it. I love Eerie. I can just picture her in the future being this fiery, just, rambunctious teen of a wizard just lighting things on fire that she totally should not be lighting on fire. And I'm just, I'm so glad that Ursula is alive. I'm so still pissed off about Rogosh. I'm so sad about Rogosh. And I'm sad that Crixus left us. But I think that, there's so many paths and I don't know, stories that could happen from here. So
agreed. Yeah, agreed.
I loved it.
We've all been playing together for a while. I mean, starting with, Misty Bay and just going what seems like forever over there. So I'm
4 years.
Yeah. So I'm definitely in a groove especially with the 3 of you, or 4 of you counting Rich, obviously. But I think this was really unique for me because, the entirety, with very rare exception, the entirety of all my playing has always been in Forgotten Realms. And I definitely don't know as much as you, Rich, or definitely you, Mike, about Forgotten Realms. But it's a comfort zone where, if you find out where you are, I kind of have a general idea, you know what I mean, of what to expect for a given area. And to just...
No!
Oh!
Come on.
What timing. Always
Terrible.
they caught John's internet always abandons us right when we're at the climax of excitement.
Against him.
I know. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Bullshit.
What about
Hopefully
Yeah, he will probably come back. I hope we get him back for the end here.
Oh yeah.
What about you, Mike? I nudged you in the beginning. You said you want to save your final words for the for the finale.
Oh, so I just, I think Taylor said it best.
Okay. Fair. Kurt, parting thoughts on your journey here with the Brighthorn?
Well, the edible kicked in about 10 minutes ago, so I don't know.
Hey, fair. That's cool.
What I really have to add. First time playing a Minotaur.
It was great. You killed it. I loved Angus the Minotaur.
Angus is lovely.
Kurt has played in Abrea before. Oops, that was not.
Oh, I
what
forgot
wanted
about
to
that.
do. Though it was a very short, little bit of a run.
Couple times.
Indeed, a couple times. And yeah, I don't know. We didn't like get in the lore, we did, but we also like didn't deep dive it. And there's a lot that I wrote this adventure years ago set in this world as a kind of entry, starting point, a real opportunity to come in with people that are very specific from a very specific part of the world. So I know we've talked about that along the way, how not knowing anything about the world and being these kids who don't know anything about the world is a good mirror. So when I say thank you, that's the stuff that I'm saying too, right? This is a very specific kind of adventure. It pulled on a lot of really traditional shit that I love, the overland travel, the uncertainty. I love an adventure with pressure where you're running from something though you don't necessarily know where you're going. Some of the choices you guys made as characters really changed the way I thought about the adventure and the way I thought about how I would run it for somebody else. And this is the kind of adventure I would want to run again for a different group. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll do that someday.
Yeah, I have so many questions.
What are your questions?
So many. Gosh. Let me go back to the beginning of my notes.
Taylor, maybe there's a fireside chat. I don't know if anybody else is interested or has a similar list of questions. But if you want to sit down maybe next week and dig in deep, we could. But if you have a couple that you're just right there front of mind, we could certainly talk about some of them.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is what and who is Rumble?
Mm-hmm.
That's my first question.
Yep.
That's all I've thought about since we met him.
Rumble is a very cool little stone guy. He's out here in the world. He is very dope. He is a Korred, specifically, is what he is. They're a type of fae. They're fae creature that are totally affiliated with the earth and stone and the elements and stuff. And so Korreds do this whole thing. They have kind of magical hair and they dance and awaken the stones and dance with the rocks on the mountains and sing to them. But he's a stone fairy.
John.
There he is.
Never is it dull. It's just never can be simple.
No.
No. It was right at the cusp of your big words of excitement. I mean, it's really kept me working on the stream. That's for certain. What were you saying?
I was just
John?
saying.
Try it again.
I was just saying that
you have a comfort zone in the realms.
Yeah, with Forgotten Realms specifically. That now it really made me feel like I was a kid again, learning D&D and playing in an environment that I wasn't familiar with at all, and it was just so drastically different. I really enjoyed it tremendously. It was frustrating at times, not the environment per se, but the guy that kept throwing crap at me. But we won't get into that. But but it was really good, man. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that with that, if nobody else has any other real further words, then yeah. It is wonky because we keep losing people, and so the cameras are resizing. I think our sound is good. I think that I don't know if we don't have any other further words. I know that you three guys don't really have anything to plug. Do you have anything you want us to be paying attention to or looking at in the world, Mike and John and Kurt? Are there things out there that we should pay attention to? Mike?
My friend has a really cool Twitter. It's One Matrix Ghost. and he's like a game developer right now, and he's working on his.
It's
he's like this
spelled out
game.
the word ONE Matrix Ghost.
No, it's one, just one as a numeral one Matrix Ghost one Matrix Ghost, and he's currently working on his new game, Chromatic Shadows, and this guy's like an encyclopedia of like RPGing philosophy. It's incredible. So, and I've been playtesting it. It's been a lot of fun to do that, and it's been very nice that he actually welcomed me to try it. So it's been cool. It's like weird cyberpunk. It's
Tell
not
him
just
if
cyberpunk.
he wants to like
It's got
run
a really
it, or he
cool, like
wants
special,
like
like supernatural energy apart it. Like, so it's really nice. We haven't. It's only I only scratched the surface of it. And he's still working on it, but the guy has like this encyclopedia knowledge of like RPG philosophy and like terminology. It's incredible.
That's awesome. You should tell him that if he's like looking for other people to like play test or to check it out, I got a whole ton of people looking to play games, and I would love to. So that's exciting. One Matrix Ghost. There's the link for everybody. Very cool. Keep us posted as you're play testing, and let us know how he's going with development, because that's cool shit. I love game design. What about you guys, Mike and Kurt? You guys, or John and Kurt? You guys got anything you want to hype up?
I'm good, man.
Kurt, anything going on in the world?
Muted.
Muted.
I say I don't know what's going on in the world. Start playing, just on a related RPG note, start playing Wraith the Oblivion in VR. That's trippy.
Oh, nice. You're playing Wraith the Oblivion in VR.
Yeah. Not great reviews, but it's still I still enjoy the environment that you're going through. But
you know what I got obsessed with this week? Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. It's like just a battlegrounds. It's basically like PUBG or Apex or whatever, but you're vampire. You play as either like a Toreador or Nosferatu or a Bruja, and like I'm loving it. I've just like gotten obsessed. Like every couple of months I'll get like fixated on a first-person shooter. I'm terrible, but I have been having fun with it. I like sunk a bit into it this week. Taylor, what about you? You got anything else you want to like hype up?
Gosh, I'm not gonna hype up my Twitch again yet, but I have to say my Dragon Age like itch is like coming back hard. It was like unofficial Dragon Age Day the other day, and I'm desperately missing it. So hopefully that will be back soon. But I'm on Twitter at Ronnie422 and on Instagram Ronnie422_. So
Taylor's Instagram is really good. You should go follow her. It's good stuff right there. Yeah, I'm Rich Filiberto. This is my deal. This is what I do. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific with Dragonfly D&D in space. We're at like a really interesting point there. The crew have like stolen a second ship. They're like getting ready to set a trap for this fellow that has been chasing them for quite a while because they freed one of his prisoners and added it to the cast list of ridiculous NPCs that are on their spaceship with them. It's a very cool, like, Spelljammer adjacent game. We're playing with Spelljammer, Planescape stuff. Very much dig it. And then, yeah, go scope out The Wheel of Time when it releases on November 19th. Podcasting about it weekly at postshowrecaps.com. You can find it on all your major iTunes podcatcher podcast feeds everywhere. And so that's it. That's all I got. I thank you guys once again for taking this journey with me. It has been a long and winding road. I have learned much on this stream. Firelight Tales.
It's been a long, windy road.
There we go. We got Mike to sing 3 times tonight on the stream. Firelight Tales will be back again, though we will not be playing the Titans Heirs as we have concluded that adventure. So I look forward to seeing what we decide to do next. Bye. Bye.